what's up, movie fans? And as promised, I give a movie review on, well, pretty much the most recently released movie, which was on, of course, my runner-up list for 2014, and that is the sequel 300 Rise of an Empire. Now, of course, this one is not directed, unlike the first one, which is directed by Zack Snyder, who is iffy with movies nowadays. I will compliment him on Man of Steel, but let's not get carried away. Let's get to the movie review. Yeah, this one is not directed by him, which I was a little bit skeptical on. The trailer looks good, though, being that it was a sequel, or I should say prequel, and then it ends up being a sequel. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed mess plot-wise, and yeah, but that's not a bad thing, because at least it does take a little bit of time to develop the characters that you're pretty much most familiar with the first 300 movie, like Xerxes, and of course it brings in new characters. I mean, Christ, it even brings in a female character warrior that you've probably seen in the trailer, unless you've been living under a rock this whole time and haven't seen the trailer. Yes, of course, she is attached to Xerxes and part of his army. Sorry for the spoilers. I must caution you, this review does contain spoilers, and it's hard to explain without spoiling, at least in my opinion. But, yeah, and it gives, of course, the background story about this character, too, as well as Xerxes, which obviously takes place before the Spartan Empire, or I should say the Spartan army, not empire, goes against the Persian Empire and tries to take them out, even though they're badly outnumbered. That happened in the first movie. This movie is obviously about the army of Athens, which tries to team up with them, but unfortunately the Spartans, of course, deny their alliance and pretty much go on a death trail right there after pretty much murdering a whole rampage of Persian warriors, if you've seen it in the first one, like I said before. This one, it does start out a little bit slow, I will say, with a couple of talking scenes, and of course you got that whole just like the first one, try to join our army, or empire I should say, or die. Of course they refuse, and they're badly outnumbered, so it's more or less the same thing. Plot's not too heavy, but hey, it's not too complicated, why overcomplicate things with the plot? It has good background story at the beginning, and of course, it has a little bit of dark humor added in there as well. I think the funniest scene that had the most laughs is probably the sex scene, I should say. Yeah, it's just like the first one, you have the sex scene with nudity and, oh, you name it. And you see the faces on the army, the guys with the masks on. Yeah, it got a few awkward chuckles right there. But otherwise, if you want action, you want a lot of CG blood, you want a lot of fight scenes, well, you got them. Even though you got to get through a couple of somewhat long talking scenes. The length of the movie is not bad. It's, I think, just about 2 hours. But I thought it was pretty enjoyable. It has a lot of that same music, a lot of the same CG animation with the backgrounds and stuff. And you could tell a lot of it is green screen as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, if you're into this kind of thing, it's definitely enjoyable. It's mind-blowing entertainment, but it's not great. It's just kind of really a shame of how many movies are trying to mimic this film. I mean, Christ, between The Immortals and the new Hercules movie that came out this year, of course, there's another one coming out with The Rock. I can't believe it. It's sort of like Gladiator, sort of, really. It's more or less the same thing. The blood is not realistic, like cringe-inducing blood. It's still enjoyable for what it is, and a lot of people seem to like it. The only thing I really didn't like is at the end, major spoilers here, is how, like, instead of basically finishing the job, it just ends up, like, leaving on a seemingly, like, ending of a cliffhanger in some sort of way. That's the only thing I didn't like. And it's pretty obvious, they're just coming out with another one. It's pretty much hinting another film. Like, seriously, they couldn't have finished it right here. It's like the fourth Terminator movie. You may have enjoyed it, you may have hated it, but of course they could just finish it right there. But otherwise, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable movie. It's not superb in any way possible. It is pretty cool seeing a female character, as always, just like Resident Evil, just like a lot of other movies who aren't afraid to use weapons and kick some ass and stuff. I mean, Christ, she even says, like, I'm not here to witness this, I'm here to fight. I mean, Christ. And But overall, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable movie. It's, it's more or less the same stuff as the first one. Not too much story, but more or less gets to the violence, the blood, and everything. But it was pretty fun. For the 3D version, I would skip out on it. It's not really worth it. There's not really much in-your-face type 3D, but I'd say overall it was enjoyable for what it is. It's just mindless fun, really. So overall, I would say just a plain 2-liter remote's up. I think that's a fair rating, considering it doesn't have a heavy-duty storyline, and it's not going for an Oscar or anything, but I think that's fair. So, until next time, keep watching.